with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio station. Let's see, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Amazon Music, Audible, Tiki Live, Podjay, Sergio San, Rumble, and more. Why so many places? Because I'm on a happy 88 mission, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. So I have topics and shows and guests. I have Dr. John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, coming back on for the third time. That's next week. And then I just had Keiko Matsui. She came back for the sixth time. She now tied Dawn Wells, Marianne from Gilligan's Island, who was on 6 times. And she has a new #1 Billboard album called Euphoria. And she's going to be performing. We have winners of the Asian Oprah giveaway that we're going to go see the show Saturday night at the Cerritos Performing Arts Center, and they're back on as a show sponsor. So many things to stay tuned for every weekday morning. And as you can see from the good-looking mug on my camera this morning, he is on time for the opening. His name, is Sam Works. He's my co-host to Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Sam Works.
Good morning, darling.
Good morning, darling. How you doing?
I'm happy and grateful. You look spiffed up. You're not in bed, so we can't make those jokes anymore, huh? I like the background. What's that say? This is us? No. What's that say in the background? That's mine.
This is us. Yeah, good job. This is us. This is actually my mom's house. I figured, something a little nicer. I told you last week I wanted to have like a little office space, kind of like how you have it, not just against the wall. So this is getting a little more background. I want to, present myself a little more for you and for everyone who's watching and listening.
Aww. I'm going to give you some applause for that. All right. And let's have some breakfast to start. Y'all know I'm training you for the Olympics of a positive, successful, happy life. And the training in that is to have breakfast of taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. So 8 specific things that we're grateful for outside of ourselves, top of the bun. And then Sam likes it on the bottom. So before you go to bed, it's 8 specific things that you would like to appreciate about yourself. So you're not thinking about all the things that went wrong, all the things that didn't get done, or all the people you want revenge on. So we're going to get started. Sam, you go ahead and start. What are you grateful for?
I'm really grateful for this California weather. Springtime spring and fall is like my 2 favorite season, so I'm glad it's not too hot or too cold. I can still sleep at night. So
yep, absolutely. I am grateful that we have air conditioners when it does get warm, and that that modern convenience, sometimes we take for granted.
Yeah. I'm grateful for all the opportunities that I get to have throughout my life. Last week I was bartending for my first time. So that was definitely a fun experience I got to appreciate. So
what was your favorite drink to make and the most difficult drink?
The Moscow Mule, although it's only like three simple ingredients, we didn't have all the ingredients. So I was trying to, be creative in my own way to bring in what they wanted. So, but
You
I
had to bring
mean,
in a
the
donkey.
Long Island iced tea was pretty that was my favorite drink to make just because I knew that's what they wanted. They kept coming back for it, so that was pretty good.
That's a lot of different alcohols, as far as I remember.
Yes,
Years
it's
ago. Yeah, and it goes down like water. So that's
yeah,
why I think when I was in college, that was my drink of choice because I didn't have to have like five.
right. You
I think
just
I
had
had
maybe one, maybe two.
right at 1.5. I was, gee, that was
Yeah,
flying. Now I'm naturally high.
there you go.
I am grateful that I have the luxury of a fridge and all the things that are in the fridge that um, the choices that I get to buy and to have every day, when it comes to food and drink. I'm grateful
Yeah.
for that.
I'm grateful that we don't have to go hunt our food. We have stores that we can just go buy food because
Unless
man,
you're looking for a new man.
yeah.
I'm grateful. You can see where I'm going today, huh?
Uh-huh.
I am grateful for my closet that has a plethora of choices
Mm,
as well, and really grateful for that.
mm. I'm
Right.
I'm grateful for all the support that I have in my career from like my friends and my family. They're just watching me and waiting for me to be successful. So it gives me a little encouragement to keep going. So I'm grateful for them.
Absolutely. I Now we're going to go to the bottom of the bun, which is, what do you appreciate about yourself? What do you like about yourself, Sam?
You know, I I like my discipline. Even though I'm still working on it. The reason why I'm all fresh and dressed is because I've been going to sleep a lot earlier so I can wake up earlier. I really miss my mornings. I miss the sunrise and the quietness of the world. And so I've been really trying to discipline myself on, waking up a little earlier. So I'm glad I'm doing that. It makes me feel a little stress free. So,
That was my encouragement for that. It's less for me to yell at him in the morning for sure.
yeah.
I appreciate that I am an 88% great mom.
Hmm.
That And sometimes I do feel like your mom, even though I'm ageless. But I appreciate that I try to, do a little cajoling and encouraging without nagging. Trying.
Hmm.
88% of the time. 88%. Am I okay 88% of the time?
I think you have that sweet spot. Yeah. You got
Okay.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. And what do you appreciate
Oh, man,
about
another thing
yourself?
that I appreciate about myself is, I'm still learning about myself, and I think it's good to know not what I'm supposed to do, but what I'm not supposed to do. And there's things that I'm trying to cut back on, and just improving myself. Being the best version I can be is a blessing that I really appreciate. So.
Great. I appreciate that I had it. I have a discipline of knowing how to approve of myself. So, like, I did
Mm.
my, arm toning, and when I finish it, I'm like, good job. And then I do my, core work. And when I finish that, I'm like, good job. And so that way I'm affirming myself, and I'm modeling for myself that I don't need to go looking for approval or, telling people what I did, even though I just told all y'all, but I do it so that I can affirm myself. And I think that's so important these days because so many people are wrapped up in who likes me, literally, what my numbers are, literally, and it's I think that is the key to a happy life, the foundation of self-care, self-approval, self-love, but it's a discipline. You got to work at it.
I think I'm gonna start doing that after every
Good. And
exercise happen. Okay. Can you still hear me?
You're Darth Vader. So the one downside of this new background is you may be too far from the router. So if you can move closer to the router, that would help. And you're probably going to have to get kicked out and come back in. So I'm going to kick you out and have you come back in and see if that helps your feed. And when he comes back in, we will continue. But that was breakfast. We actually finished all 8 things. I appreciate my ability to be flexible. And when shift happens, it's like I can't wait to see what good comes out of this. So I am going to thank ourselves for having breakfast as we wait for Sam to come back in. It's perfect time for me to give you a couple of great things to look forward to, if I do say so myself. If you've ever thought about writing a book, if you've ever thought about starting a podcast, if you've ever thought about being a guest on my show or co-host on my show, if you've ever wondered why it's so difficult to be happy, if you have any challenging situations right now with divorce or with your kids, all of those things are what I am able to give you my experience, strength, and hope on, because I have a free once a month Get Happy Hour. And that is on Friday. That's tomorrow, 7:00. You just go to drmarissa.life and you scroll down and you just register for that. It's free. And if you formally register for that, you'll get a free copy of my audio book version where I actually read to you for 8 Ways to Happiness. And this is a #1 best-selling book on Amazon, actually Target and Walmart and Kindle and everywhere books are sold. You can get one of these, but the audiobook I'm going to give you for free if you register at drmarissa.life. And that is Friday night at 7. And then Saturday, I get to be a celebrity starter for this race for bone marrow. And I'll look that up and sort of flash it a little later on. But that's kind of exciting. That's Saturday morning. If you want to get up really early, 7 a.m. is when I'm going to be, I think they're going to give me a gun to start the race. And I'm so honored to be asked to do that. Last year, I covered the story and then they contacted me. And then at 10 a.m., I'm going to be doing my balanced Tai Chi Gong, a moving meditation that promotes peace, one breath at a time. And that's 10 a.m. on the beach in Long Beach. So register for that at drmarissa.life. It's a donation of $20 to my nonprofit, 8 Ways to Happiness, that helps kids, teens, and young adults who have temporarily forgotten their birthright to happiness. So that is the schedule as we waited for Sam to come back in the studio, and things that you can join me at this week that are pretty much free. So hopefully, and then I hope to see you at Cerritos Performing Arts Center on Saturday. I believe there's a few tickets left. Her shows always sell out. So go to keikomatsui.com or go to Cerritos Center for the Performing Arts to get tickets on Saturday. All right. Sam's back. And
I'm back.
we finished breakfast. And now we're going to go to the topic of the day. And he usually likes me to read this. So I'm going to give you a funny story, backstory. So normally I have to prompt him and say topic on Wednesday afternoon. And so you knew I was going to do this. So he came up with a topic on Tuesday, which I was like kind of shocked. But he texted me during the show, which he knows not to do. New topic you don't have. What causes a man not to want to have sex with his wife? If the woman still wants it, what can she do? Do sexless marriages survive? And I was like, oh, wow. I was kind of stunned about how early he gave me the topic. So I didn't say anything. But when I went to promo it last night, I'm like, man, this is so misogynistic worded. Like, dang. And then I remembered he's 23 and he's learning. So my job is to balance him out on his sometimes one-sided generalizations. So the promo is, you've lost that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. You didn't hear that on the promo. What causes a partner to not want to have sex with their significant other, question mark? And what if the other partner still wants to play pool hockey? I don't even know what that means, by the way. I was going to ask you because pool hockey, I've heard that expression, so you can explain that because you're young. Do sexless marriages survive? So that's our topic for today. Now that I tried to embarrass him, but he can take it. I thought it was a great topic because it is something that affects your happiness in a relationship. And that's why we're talking about it. For those of you who've tuned in just now, wondering what's going on in Dr. Marissa's studio, we are doing Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Sam Works
every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time, right after the NBC News on KZAA. AM 1050, FM 106.5, the station that leaves no listener behind. And we're talking about sex. Or no sex really in relationships after a while. So why did you pick this topic, Sam?
So as much as that sounds misogynistic, now what if that question came from a woman? What if that question was, if my husband doesn't want to have sex with me, like, what can we do? Right?
Yes. But again, you're assuming that it's the woman.
Well,
you're assuming that it's the man that doesn't want to have sex anymore.
Well, I mean, you're assuming that
or the woman.
What I'm saying is you might have thought it was misogynistic because I sent you that, but it wasn't my idea. Someone, an outside source, wanted me to have that topic with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That point taken. They're misogynistic. No, I'm kidding.
That's funny.
I'm just kidding. But I'm basing it on, that's my role here, right? To balance you out. Sometimes you have a very strong traditional male perspective. Agreed. That is the reason why you're my co-host for this, because I want that so that I can beat you. No, so that I can balance things out. So fantastic. No more beat up. You point taken. And it is true that there's a generalization that when it comes to sex, men want it more than women, especially during a certain age, and that when a man stops desiring a woman, or I should say, when sex becomes less often, that's what we're looking at, right? So why would, and this is one of my questions, that when couples come to me and ask for happiness coaching as a couple in their relationship, my first question is, are you having sex?
Mm.
That's my first question. And people are like, well, what's that got to do with it? It's got everything to do with it, because I think that we have um I was going to say swallowed. We've bought into the, I was swallow. We bought into that stereotype, that, or not stereotype, that belief system, that BS belief system, that as you age or the older the relationship gets, the less sex you have, and that's normal and it's acceptable. And for me, I hope that I'll be having sex until, my body can't have sex anymore. No. Mind you, having a relationship or sex for 5 years, 4 months, 3 weeks, 2 days, and an hour, but who's counting? But I have the BS belief system that sex is an important part of a relationship. Not every day, not, Dr. John Gray's coming on, and it's going to be great. He's 71. He has it once a week. And that's for him what it should be. So we'll hear from him. But go ahead.
I think, 88% of the time, if someone says we're not having sex, it is a problem, right? Especially in this, what I call a promiscuous era, where that's what it's all about nowadays. Yeah, that seems like it's a problem. If you really zoom out on the topic, if your spouse or your significant other is not, if you guys are not having sex, then there is a problem. Not saying it can't be saved, but there is an issue, maybe an outside issue that's probably creating that, But there is a guy who's, again, like in his 70s as well, and he says that it doesn't work all the time, but when it does, you appreciate it a lot more. And I heard that last night, and I thought that was funny. But I mean, at the same time, depending on circumstances, like, I don't want to, downfall a couple who's just are not having sex, but at the same time, in this era and this time, it's pretty important. Kind of like what Clyde Terry said in the beginning of your show, if he's not going to find great sex for me, he's going to find it for someone else, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
I always say sex is not everything, but it's a lot, so there's definitely some things that needs to be worked on in a relationship if it's not happening.
Yeah. Cecilia Martinez, thank you for tuning in. She says it is a stress reliever to see you back in studio. Longtime supporter, and she actually came on one time and had I did a little life balance coaching, and it was hopefully helpful. You can update me here, but let's see. She is 57, going on 58. I rarely say no to my man. There you go. So the fact that you say my man, so things are better now. So I'm happy to hear that. And yay! I helped tremendously. I get a little applause. And without giving you the whole situation, that's like super nice. The main thing that she's so funny, like a pizza going in the oven. That's a new one. I like that, Cecilia. The main thing that I did for her is to get her eyes off her man, actually, and get her eyes on herself and work on her own happiness. And it's amazing how that works. I strongly suggest that if you are in a sexless marriage, the first thing that I don't want you to do is go to them and go, "Why aren't you having sex with me?" Right? It is, let's put the moose on the table. What are the different reasons that marriages move to that sexless marriage without, as you said, judging people who have a sexless marriage. Okay.
Mhm.
So, what are the things that you've heard? I've heard that it's not as important anymore. It's too messy.
Yeah.
Literally heard that. I love George Burns's. It's one of my favorite funny lines. George Burns was asked when he turned 90, "Do you still have sex?" And he said, "That would be like shooting pool with a rope." We have to install that drum. That. Anyways, um, so funny. But hey, Dr. John Gray says that it is something you can fix, not with drugs, but your own level of increasing your testosterone, the things that you think about, the things that you look at, the things that you eat, even. So I can't wait to have his take on all of this, on this particular question. So, Sam, what are the other reasons?
Um, maybe it's not spiced up enough. If you're with the same partner for like 10 plus years and you guys are doing the same thing at the same amount of time, repetitively, like it can get kind of boring. The excitement kind of dies off. I did have one of my exes tell me that it was too messy. And I was like, well, that sucks. I was like, what?
Oh my
You know,
goodness. Cecilia likes messy, so
there you go. But
let's see. Go ahead.
I
What are
definitely do. A lot of it does have to, like, you have to spice it up in the bedroom or in the living room or wherever you do it, because it does, like just like anything. If you do everything repetitively, like a lot frequently at the same time, like it just gets boring at that point, because when your man's gonna, finish, or what position's next, and it's not the same as it was the first time.
So lack of variety or getting bored with each other kind of lends itself to last week's topic of, what best friends, or what creates a situation where you're going to cheat. And if you missed that show, you can get all of my past 927 show podcasts on my YouTube channel. You can get it a lot of places, but YouTube is where I have cameras in the studio. You can actually watch and listen. So please free subscribe there, and get your friends to do so as well. It's not about the numbers, but on the other hand, the more numbers I have on the YouTube, I get a little bit of love from YouTube for the views, and that keeps this thing going. So that's why I'm asking. All right. So what are other reasons that
I've,
sex? So we've a physical, we've got emotional, boring, right?
or even time. There's a lot of like, even in today's age, a lot of people working like 12-hour days, coming home and they're just too exhausted. Maybe it's not the wife that's tired, maybe it's her husband or her spouse or whatever, and it's like they don't have time to do it, you know
Mm-hmm.
or they have like kids and they're trying to be quiet, or whatever the case may be. Like, you really need some private alone time, exclusive time with each other, in order to like really express your love when it comes to that. Because there's
Yep.
also different types of sex. There's angry sex, there's love sex, there's all this stuff. So it's like, even if you get sex frequently, depending on what kind of sex it is, it may not feel like sex. Like, some women feel used, in times of like, in certain times. I've
Sure. I
unfortunately
mean,
experienced that.
when one partner wants it as a stress reliever and the other one is just too stressed to have it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And so, and then the whole physical thing of it takes women, what was the average? I'll have to look that up. How many, it's a slow burn arousal versus men, like a Tesla ramp up, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. But we have another streamer participant, Glenn Edwards. Good to see you back. one of my LinkedIn participants and show supporters. I think sex at any age has a lot to do with communication. The better communication, the better the sex, and that is definitely Sam's broken record that he continues to bring up, which up is good, but he's definitely agreeing with you. Sam will talk about how it's so important to have communication.
You know what I say, Dr. Marissa?
What?
Because it's talking about communication. I said there's only 4 things you can say, like if we're in bed. All right, that's faster, slower, harder, or softer. That's it.
Okay.
And that talk about communication. You know, that's usually where I go, and it makes them talk. So it's great.
Okay, so I will give you something from Dr. John Gray for you to try and to add to your vocabulary of only 4 things, which are very selfish, right?
No, it's not.
That's about what your needs are.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Or asking them to say those 4 things, right? Or asking them. So he says that if you're with your partner to during the act say, God, you are so beautiful, or you feel so amazing. I just like those 2 statements during the act will do something for your partner. And we are talking about men and women right now. This is straight talk for this particular part of the conversation, but I'm talking about partner, whoever has the more testosterone, whoever usually is the one who initiates or is the one who wants to jump in there, male or female, that side. If you reeled it back, according to Dr. John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, new book is Beyond Mars and Venus, you are allowing your partner to melt into an arousal or melt into more. Now, I said to him in a private conversation, it's so difficult for me, I'll be personal on this, to receive because I'm uncomfortable myself with receiving and allowing myself the permission to feel pleasure myself. Now, obviously, I am not of this generation. I'm ageless, but I started talking about sex on my shows for this particular reason. I found out that I am not alone, that many women have an emotional difficulty of asking for higher, lower, what do you say? Faster, slower.
Faster, slower.
Yeah. Just even asking for it. And one of the things that happened in my early, I told you the first time, I'm not going to talk about that again, but I had a boyfriend who literally grabbed my hand and said, I am going there. Like, don't touch. I'm doing it. And that really, messed me up as far as, it is more important for them to be satisfied and pleasured and finished than it is for me. And that BS is so deeply ingrained for not just me, for a whole generation, I believe, of women that we're working on. And it doesn't make sense, right? I have a lot of testosterone. Everybody knows that. People. I had someone ask me, or I had someone say, you're so strong. Sometimes I forget you're not a man. And my response to him, he was an old boss, and he meant it as a compliment. I said, Actually, I do have balls. I just tucked it in real well. And he was like, that crying game reaction. But anyway, so that's my moose on the table challenge for myself and for anyone listening who also has that BS belief system. And I see the chat's going crazy. I'm going to have to go back through that. But first, your reaction, Sam.
Yeah, I've been told this many times. And by the way, I'm a talker in bed, so it's like you know what I mean. And I don't act. It's bad if I'm silent because it's either I'm too in my head or I'm not liking it. But anyways, I've been told by multiple women. They say, "Hey, for girls, it's more emotional. Girls, it's more emotional. For guys, it's more physical." And I learned that from a while ago. So I really try to make sure that it's already in their head that we're going to have a great time, right? Because people who usually do like one night stands, like they always say like, oh, sex is always better with like your partner than with like one night stands. And that's maybe because your body doesn't know each other or mentally you're not bonded with each other. And so like the first thing I do is make sure that we're having a good time before we have a good time, right? Because then that kind of loosens everything up mentally and physically and emotionally, and it gives like that access to having a good time.
Verbal
Right?
verbal lube.
Yes, basic. Maybe not even verbal. It could be nonverbal. Like I have nonverbal communications all the time with women, and so it's just making sure that they're emotionally ready, rather than physically ready. Because you're right, guys are pretty selfish and they just want to, do their thing. But you really got to take care of a woman, because if you take care of her, she'll take care of you at the end of the day. So that's kind of like my little two takes on that. But going back to the topic of today, how can we solve the problem of not having sex with your partner?
Yeah. And let's just start with that. Is it a problem? So if you are like my bonus mom and dad are 90 and 93, and they're celebrating 73 years of marriage on Saturday.
Wow.
Okay. And I mean, obviously, hashtag relationship goals. I am so blessed that I get to spend, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 4 days a week with them because we're all foodies and we get to go and enjoy. Yesterday we had breakfast together. Today we were supposed to have lunch together, but dad is having some stuff going on, so we'll see. And prayers out there for him. But I, do, at that age, really, if they're not having sex, is it a problem? I don't think so, because they've definitely, I mean, it's so cute. Like sometimes I'll be on the phone with my dad and he'll stop and I'll say, "Are you there?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm just looking over at Dolores and saying, she's so beautiful." I mean, this is like last year, at 92. So to me, that's not an issue if you're not having sex at 90 and 93. Health wise, I don't know, you're going to strain something or whatever. But I believe that those who have no sex in their marriage, and the marriages, and they're in their, I don't know, 70s. I think, John Gray, 71. That's a good question to ask. At what age is that different? But everyone else, like I know that when my husband stopped having sex with me, again, live out loud on the show, after I had my first child, he did not touch me for 9 months. And it was a problem because I took it personally. Like, you don't find me attractive. I gain weight when you have a child. And it didn't come out until we were in therapy that he withheld sex from me for 9 months because he knew that was the only thing I wanted from him, that he didn't have anything. He was a stay at home. And so all of our issues around emasculation and about, roles and, who wore the pants and who made the money was all crumbling down into this using sex as power. So for us, yeah, not having sex was an issue. So I think that I would say most of the time, if you're not having sex in a relationship, it is a problem. But if you have a sexless marriage after a certain point, when you've been together for 70 years, that's not a problem.
Or, if you have a medical condition that you really just can't have sex, then, I mean, that's okay. But for your partner, that may not be okay, And
that's really important. Is the reason the same for both partners?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you got a so true, Sam. I don't remember when it was, but
I don't know either.
But lube it up is good. And if you're wondering who Cecilia is a supporter of the show, and you can also comment and question and make jokes, and we love it. Just stream with us. Thanks to technology, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube now. Thanks to being promoted onto the Daily Morning Show. Thank you, Fred. And I'll take a minute to station ID to thank all of those at KCAA, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, streaming everywhere, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and my YouTube channel, where you can come and you can come and comment. But my YouTube Central is please free subscribe and ask your friends to do so as well. All right, we're talking about, since this is Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Sam Works,
on the station that leaves no listener behind. We're talking about sex in marriages and when it is okay not to have sex in a marriage. And is it a sign that there's problems in the marriage? And I think most of the time it is. So, let's see. Yay, congrats. What else have we got? Glenn. Wait, this is cute. Glenn, great point. There is the reason for no sex, the same for both partners. Okay, thank you for that. I will receive that acknowledgement, Glenn. Sam.
I think if you're not having sex and you think it's a problem, it's probably a problem. And you need to go on vacation with this person, isolate yourself with them, and, find that solution. Because I do think that it is important, because you're not with the person just physically, but you want to be with that person emotionally and spiritually and, be together as one, especially if you guys are married. And I think it's important to do that. So if anyone out there is having a problem, I say really take the time to take your time. You know what I mean? With that situation. Go on a little vacation, get an Airbnb or something, spice it up, do something, bring it back,
Bring that baby back. Change of scenery will work, says Cecilia. I would encourage, when I was speaking earlier somewhat passionately about where a lot of women are, it's our job to change our BS, because it is definitely hurting our ability to have an intimate relationship when we carry the BS belief system. And I'll be honest, I did this. I'm cognizant. I still do it, where I'll say, if I have to tell you what to say and what to do, there's something wrong with the relationship. You should know how to turn me on. You should know how to, ramp me up. And it's just simply not true. And it's difficult for me it took me a little while to not carry that BS, that belief system, that as Sam says, as Glenn Edwards says, communication, people can't read your mind. People also can't fix where you're broken. So I have to take ownership of where I am, uncomfortable with, different positions. I'm uncomfortable with different aspects. I'm uncomfortable. Those things, I I would pull up by the ears, if you get my drift, because I wasn't comfortable with that. And that's my stuff. That's not their stuff. That's my stuff. And I have to fundamentally reprogram all of those horrible BS MSU University making shiitake up about, they're not really attracted to me. They're just doing this because they want to get their rocks off. They think that, my body is really, I need to cover it up. I need to have the lights low. I don't look like I used to when I modeled. These are all those horrific, arousal reducing, keep me away from any kind of romantic intimacy. And I'm working on it, but it's not easy. And if you're identifying, hey, I get you, and we'll do this together. That's why I every Thursday we talk about this, because I need this to constantly, like, stop looking at yourself the way you're looking at yourself. Try to look at yourself the way so and so looks at you. They think you are hot. They think you are, but until I can be okay with that, which is why I've been trying to why I've been losing the weight, is I want to feel sexy. I want to look. It doesn't matter how many guys, and thank you, I have so many guys after every one of these shows that message and say, oh my God, you're gorgeous. I don't know why you're saying that. And it's like, thank you, but that's not good. That's not why I'm doing this, and that's not going to help until I believe my own BS, until I fix that self-perception, until I deal with my own body dysmorphia, which is not seeing my body as it actually is. It doesn't matter how many compliments I get. This is an inside-out job. Drop the mic.
Yeah, you went pretty hard right there. How hard? No, just kidding. Yeah,
go shop at the toy box. That is actually a good idea, by the way. I wanted to get a adult toy store to sponsor a show when I was doing sexual healing with Dr. Marissa, but my producer, myself, said, maybe not. Especially not now, first thing in the morning. I know I'm pushing the edge of the envelope. I'm just waiting for a call from who, for like, what are you talking about at 8 a.m? But like I said, this is all very tied to happiness, which is my story, and I'm sticking to it. Sticking.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love someone else, right? Those are the words from Dr. Marissa. And I think it is something that we all need to work on to have a better life. But in the same regard, if you're with someone, you can't be selfish, with yourself, not giving yourself up, especially if that's something that you guys do. If you guys have sex, make sure you guys have sex. Don't try to be petty and use sex as a weapon or as a discipline action or anything like that, and of course, spice it up, have some fun with it, like Valentine's Day, I'm always adventurous, I guess you could say.
You got told by Alon, though.
Yeah.
My co-host on Fridays, but and don't forget to tune in tomorrow. I'll just do that as a pre-closing. I have tempting conversations with Dr. Marissa and Alon Carter, and she's the daughter of the founder of the Temptations, ergo tempting conversations. And we had Sam on, and she was just raking him over the coals around, what Valentine's is for, because he says, I just don't celebrate that because it shouldn't be one day. She reminded him that there were benefits to him. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. And honestly, I accept it. I'm taking it. And next Valentine's Day, if I don't have one, you'll be mine. No, I'm just kidding. But
Glenn's going back. I do think that this is an important point. Sex should never be weaponized. Unfortunately, it happens too far often. So I gave my example of my husband. I believe now, this is an idea I want to float. I met a couple. They came to the beach for my balanced Tai Chi Gong moving meditation class that I hold once a month on the beach. And she brought her husband, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I knew she was interested, but he obviously looked like he didn't want to be there as much as she did. And she told me that they have this, it's not a game, but this principle in their married life where they get points. And so if she wants to do something that he doesn't, and she's done something for him that she doesn't want, they accumulate points that they can use to negotiate doing things together that one party would not necessarily want to do. And it also worked in the bedroom. So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So maybe you're not always going to have timing. And I think that if just because one person wants to have it and the other one doesn't mean that it's being weaponized. I think that if one person wants it consistently and the other person, that is definitely not a good scenario either. Yeah. But the give take part of it and negotiating, I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. And it's just
Sam's giving Polly's giving us 3 minutes just to
right. And it's kind of just like the gym too. Like initially you're like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym. But once you're in the gym, once you're working out, you like it, you enjoy it. And it's probably the same thing with sex, here and there. I do say if you're not having sex, fix that problem. I wouldn't really say communicate verbally, but do something to increase the opportunity to have sex. Make it known. But I think if you're communicating verbally, then you're communicating the wrong way, right? Because sex is not verbal; it's communicative, but not verbal. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
Well, no, you said it. What the 4 words?
Well, you know what I mean, though, Dr. Marissa.
That's verbal.
You don't have a conversation about sex. You have to use other techniques, other ways to really bring it in. Really.
Well, I don't know if Glenn would agree with you, and I don't think I would agree with you. I think that timing
I wouldn't say it's black and white.
Right.
I wouldn't be like, okay, we're running out of time. Maybe we should
we're going to have to continue this next week. Oh, that's actually a really good practical thing. Let's talk next week about ways to communicate. What do we mean when we say, good segue. That's next week's topic. So you have it here. I know I'm going to see Cecilia back and Glenn hopefully as well. And we'll continue this very scintillating conversation on Straight Talk with Dr. Marissa and
Sam Works.
And you'll have to come to my social to the Bone Marrow Organization on Saturday. Come and join us at Shoreline Village. Also, all the other places, go to Doc Balance on Instagram. And this is Dr. Marissa reminding you that it's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Thank you for joining Sam and I. Now go and have the best day ever.